Okay, thank you, Amanda. Amanda, I think, oh, there you go. Thank you. So now that you're graduating high school, now what? Many of you may have not decided to go to college right away. So what else can you do? Amanda, what does higher education look like for you? Does it look like this, which is the campus at SUNY Oswego? Or does higher education also look like this? This is a student from our advanced manufacturing program, or does it look like this? This is higher education. This is an LPN program student. Higher education post-secondary, after high school, it can take many different formats. You don't necessarily have to commit right out the door going to a 2-year college or a 4-year college. There are many opportunities here in the Finger Lakes area. And there are many myths about higher education. Going to college means you're going to get a better job. You can fill in a lot of different things here in some of these blanks. If you're not going to college, you're going to get a job. If you get a 4-year degree, you will earn more money. If you can get into a more prestigious school, do it because you'll end up making more. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. These can be myths about school. And you don't necessarily have to go to the most expensive school to get a good education. And there are 3 big things happening. So we don't want you to get caught out in the rain and left behind, but some of the big things that are happening, most college graduates will hold 7 different occupations during their working career. And many of the 4-year grads that are leaving school right now, the jobs that are available out there, some of them weren't there when they started school. So if you start into a 4-year degree program, things change. And so by the end of your 4 years, something may be different. And because of all these little changes that are going on, it may be better to learn in small chunks throughout your career as your goals and your work changes. Another thing about changing in career, more and more people are looking at this, but it is true that job satisfaction is tied to fit. And fit means a couple different things. Does the work that you do, is it in your interest, and do you really, really like it? And the other thing is, does the company that you work for fit your values? Do you kind of agree, and do they act ethically? And do you fit into the culture of the workplace? And these 2 things pay off in happiness. They make you happier as a worker. You enjoy going to work. And people who are happier with their work end up earning more. They retain their job longer and advance more quickly in the same job than if you hated your job. And do you know anybody who loves their job? I do. I know Amanda does. She really enjoys her job, and it shows. But how about people who don't like their job? I've experienced that in my lifetime. And I always wonder, why do people stay at a job they don't like? Because you spend a lot of time at work, and you need to really kind of love it to really enjoy it. And the amount of time and effort you put into your job, you should be enjoying it. So let's do some comparing and talking about keys to successful career. One of the first key is to know yourself. And knowing yourself and learning about the world of work and plan out what you want to do. And at times, one of the old sayings I always use is plan the work, work the plan. Now, once you plan your work, you might have to revise it along the way, but that's okay. If you have a plan, you end up accomplishing things better and easier for you because you know where you want to go and how to get there. And And where finding out what you love is where it all begins. And just to kind of remind you that people who love their career are happier outside of work. They earn more money than equally skilled people who don't love their job. They stayed employed longer and advance more rapidly. So that leads us to effective career planning. And where do you start and what does it mean? As you can see around this circle, we want to know yourself first. We want to learn about the world of work, and we're going to plan a path to your dream. That's how you do it. So, how do you go about knowing yourself? Well, there is a great tool out there, and you can access this from home anytime that you want. And if you move to the next slide, you want to do an interest profile. And what does this mean? I think our slides are a little out of order. So the interest profile is from ONET, which is online, and it's a website by the Department of Labor. It is national. You can access it anytime, 24 hours a day. And on there, they ask you a series of questions about getting to know yourself. And doing so, the questions, there's 60 of them, and they're asking you questions about things that you may like to do, activities that you would like to do, whether you strongly agree or disagree with doing something. And in the end, they calculate your score and tell you the type of jobs that you might be interested in. Not only does it tell you that, but it also gives you different levels of how much training is necessary to meet a selected career or a job that you may be interested in, how much training you need to do for it. Now, what we did at the college, we took that information because we use it quite often, and we took our training programs that we have and we put them around the circle and kind of put the different types of personalities that people are when it comes to work. We have some people who are thinkers, and that's starting at the top of the circle there. Then you have the people who are creators, and you can see that next to it you have child care, then you have CDA, and then you have helpers, people such as home health aides, LPNs, certified nurse assistants. Then you have persuaders, people who could possibly like to sell things such as real estate or event planners. Then you have organizers, and some of those could be accountants, people that like computers, tech support people could fall into that category. And then you have doers, people who like to really do things. And doers, when I talk about doers, they're people who like to be able to, at the end of the day, turn around and see what they have accomplished for the day, whether it's building something or doing landscaping or fixing something new. They get a lot of satisfaction out of being able to do something and see what they've done. Whereas somebody that may be an accountant who sits there and does stuff on the computer and plays with numbers all day. And I say that because obviously being an accountant doesn't fit me. So you want to find something that will fit you. And so we've put all our careers that we offer into this type of wheel matched up to the ONET. So if you can move on, Amanda. And I think this is the slide that we have the interest profile and where you can get it and you can do it. Do you want to take everybody there to show them what it looks like? Thank you. And it'll take a few moments. There we go. There's your interest profile. and see how the questions. You can strongly dislike, dislike, unsure, like, strongly like, and you go through that. And at the bottom, um, there's no right or wrong answer. Thank you, Amanda, for showing folks. And you can say build kitchen cabinets. That's going to be somebody who ends up being a doer. Laying brick or tile, also another doer. Develop a new medicine. It could be a doer too. And it could also be somebody who enjoys helping people, because ultimately a new medicine does help people. So this program is out there, and it is a great tool if you're unsure of what direction that you want to go to. And going back to
real quick, Mary, before we jump out of here, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in. I just wanted to add, so I always use that first one as an example when I'm doing this with young people, building kitchen cabinets. Like me, I have no clue how to build a kitchen cabinet. I would have no clue where to start. But that's something I think I would enjoy doing if I had the opportunity. So even though I don't know how to do it yet, it's just based on whether you think you would like it or not like it. So just a heads up if you're going to be helping a young person go through this assessment.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So you want to get to know yourself, know your strengths, know your talents, and know your abilities. And some of us have natural talents. And you may know that now, and also your abilities, but you also might want to talk to other people who see you and see how they see you. Some of your teachers, some of your fellow classmates, your friends, your parents. You may not see it, but they may see that you're a really good leader, or that you have great patience, that you can stick to something and stay focused on it. Listen to the other folks about your strengths, and don't be afraid to ask them, and talk with people about how well you are. Then there's learning the world of work. And how do you go about learning the world of work? Well, we have several great tools out there. And this, if we were live and in person, we would do a little party game about finding people that are like us and talking with them about their job and what it means and how it relates to the world of work. But we're not in this situation right now to be able to do that. So Amanda, would you like to, and your interest codes, they would also come off of from the party sheet that we would do. All right. Now moving over to the third big change that is going on out there is the cost of a four-year degree. We all know tuition rates are keeping out of pace of inflation, but it's just more than just cost. It also means the increase in debt, delays in earning power, and the assumption that more is better. And when I say the assumption more is better, I have a good friend that I was listening to her speak to students who were interested in this, an LPN program. And she had mentioned to the group of people that she continued on and kept going into debt and ended up, she has a PhD in education, but with $180,000 worth of debt from that education. And I just can't imagine having that much debt. And then working to pay that off. So some of the choices you make, you want to factor in there the cost to it. Yes, it's great to be able to go to a Cornell or Yale or Ivy League school, but you want to think about how much debt you really want to put yourself into before you make that move. So if we move on to the...
Yeah, and I'm just going to apologize. We did get out of order here, Mary, and I don't know how that happened. So my apologies, because I know this just jumped from your going through the process to now going back to the change 3. So,
All
do I
right.
keep going with this?
Yep, you can
Okay.
keep on going.
Okay.
So right now, for the first time ever, the net worth of a 4-year grad is declining. The net worth of those of technical education is outpacing that of many 4-year grads. And what is technical education? Technical education could be working on computers and computer networks, or it could be CAD design or electrical, residential, or designing the electrical, how it would go into a building. So some of these technical jobs that are out there are starting to outpace the grads, the 4-year college grad income levels. Then when you look at your return on investment, and this is from some statistics from 2017, where your median usual working earnings for the different levels of degree and down to from PhD down to a high school diploma or no college, and the unemployment rate. And if you want to go to the next slide, Amanda, and this is income after debt payments. You can see where in the very beginning, if you start working with no training at all right out of high school, and if you get just even a 6-month training career or less than 2 years, that is going to be the darker blue line, and comparing that to a public 4-year line, a public college 4-year, or a private 4-year income, you can see that by 15 years, we have just a short-term job training program and not have to pay a significant amount of debt. Your overall lifetime earnings are not really that far off from somebody that has a 4-year degree out there working. So you can see that there are some advantages of getting ahead in this world without going to a 4-year institution. And then your return on investment, this just kind of shows you a different way of looking at the information, that how much you invest in yourself in a short-term program and how you will end up making more on that return of investment than somebody in a private or public 4-year over the course of your lifetime. Now, effective career planning takes a little bit of work on your part. And how you do that is you want to learn about the local careers that are here, especially if you plan on staying in this area. And here's a list of, from the Finger Lakes Workforce Board, the in-demand occupations that are out there. And you can see that they have listed the occupations, and over to the right, they have the ONET. And on ONET, again, you can look up each and every one of these occupations and find out how much training you need, what the career outlook is in that area, how much the average wages are. And that's not just nationally. They will break it down for the New York State regional area of Rochester, so that you can see what you would get in Rochester and the Finger Lakes by becoming an accountant or doing auditing. So that is a great tool. And here's the medium priority ones that are out there that are in need. These are occupations in our local area that there's a need out there. If you had background or training in any of these, you would definitely find employment in those areas. And then we have our lower priority ones too. And these are jobs that locally there's a need for. You may need some training to get employment in these areas, but that's where you do your work and you find out what type of training you need, and you look at different places where you can get that type of training. So if we go on, so you want to learn about the different fields. what's involved in working. And another thing about ONET, it talks about the work style. What type of kind of natural, sometimes I call them natural, but your characteristics of a worker that you may have. Like, if do you stay focused, you stay with a job and or you stay with a task and complete it all the way through? Can you multitask? Can you be interrupted and go off? Or the stress level of a specific job? Things like that. They're in there when you look at ONET. And then how does that relate to your interests, strengths, talents, and ability? And you can see the job duties and see those type of work styles and see if they really kind of match up to you as a person. Then the next thing that you ought to do is interview an expert. And you'd be really surprised that a lot of people are more than willing to talk to you about a job. There's opportunities out there, and we do this for anybody who's interested in our programs: job shadowing, visiting an employer, taking a little tour of their facility. So you get to really kind of know that. We can work with you, and I'm sure Amanda can work with you too about that. And the interviewing people, people do love to talk and share their knowledge. And don't be shy about it, because people will tell you what about their experience of working and how they got there. And you'd be really surprised that a lot of people did not take the traditional route of going from high school to a 4-year college and then landing a job at Gould's. They may have had a different path that got them to where they're going. So it is okay to do things a little bit differently. Okay, now if you're interested, this is the information about our department at Finger Lakes Community College. We're considered the non-credit section of the college. Here, people come for short-term trainings. Thank you for bringing that up. And if you want to scroll down a little bit, we have many different categories. We have manufacturing careers, we have healthcare careers, workforce development. Sometimes those are specific, that we go into an employer and do specific custom training for them. And other one that I want to mention is the online course catalog. We have a lot of online courses that you can take from home that lead to an actual career. And you can do them online, right in the privacy of your home on a computer, anywhere from 75 hours up to a whole year. And they can be in healthcare. Some of them are in computer programming, web applications, security. Then there's also manufacturing. We have in-person manufacturing machinist training that lasts 6 months. We have CNA in healthcare, home health aide, phlebotomy, medical administrative assistant. All those programs are less than 6 months long that can lead to employment in our community. So with that, Amanda, do you want to tell folks how to get in touch with Workforce and what Workforce has to offer out there?
Thank you so much. Okay, just verifying, is the PowerPoint back up?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mary. Okay, so what is the workforce? So let's start there. And just so everyone knows, we're the Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board, and we work with all of the career centers here in our area, which is Wayne, Ontario, Seneca, and Yates County. So what is the workforce? The workforce defined is people who have a job, people who are looking for a job, and people who are able to have a job. So you may already be in the workforce, right? Young people might already be considered in the workforce, even though they're not working yet. So let's think about those high school education careers, right? What are those careers that you can get if you graduate high school, you don't plan on going to school? What are the jobs you can get with a high school education, right? Because I think that there are those stereotypical jobs that we think about, right? Like food service, retail, hospitality, and childcare. But I'm not sure if everyone realizes that there are other career industries out there that you can go to work in with a high school education, like manufacturing, skilled trades, healthcare, and agriculture. And these right here are all high in demand industries in our area. So I wanted to share this again because Mary shared it as well, just to point out again that those Finger Lakes in demand jobs, this is what is considered in demand in the Finger Lakes here in our region. And it's the high priority, medium priority, and low priority, but just keep in mind that even those low priority are more of a priority than jobs that didn't make the list at all. So just a heads up about that. And then this is what we try to align our training opportunities with, right? Because there are in demand fields. Minimum wage in New York State. I think this is really helpful and important for young people to know that minimum wage within the last 10 years has risen more than like the previous 30 years before it. So we went from minimum wage. So just a fun history lesson, right? 1980 to 1990, we went from $3.25 to $4.25 an hour. So we raised one whole dollar. From 1990 to 2000, we raised another whole dollar and went up to $5.25. And then we got really crazy. And from 2000 to 2010, we went up $2 more, right? To $7.25 an hour. So from 1980 to 2010, we raised $4 an hour. From 2010 to where we are now, we have gone from $7.25 an hour to where we sit now at $12.50 an hour. Okay, that is the minimum wage here in New York State right now as of, where are we now? May of 2021. Okay, and then we also have, there's a separate minimum wage now for food service type jobs. So you're, Tom Walls, Dunkin' Donuts, which is $15 an hour. So that is why you will see those places offering wages that are at $15 an hour or above. And then we also have the tip wage jobs. So think about, waitresses, barbers, things like that. That is $8.35 an hour. So we technically have 3 minimum wages here in New York State, but the $12.51 is the general minimum wage. So if you compare your minimum wage earnings today in May of 2021 compared to me, this was actually 15-year-old Amanda, who got her first job as a cashier in 2001. Minimum wage was $5.25 at the time, and I actually got hired at $5.50. So of course I thought it was really awesome, right? 25 cents above minimum wage. This is what I looked at earning if I worked 20 hours a week in 2001 at $5.50 an hour. I earned $440 a month. And again, that's before taxes, right? Before taxes, okay? Compared to what a young person can earn now, if they went into a position as a cashier at 20 hours a week at $12.50 an hour at minimum wage, they could have the potential to earn $1,000 per month, again, before taxes. But again, so just to compare that, young people now entering the workforce have just that much more, like that financial buying power and things like that, and can definitely earn more than in past years starting out. And I do believe we are going to continue to increase every year until we hit $15 an hour. The national minimum wage right now is still set at $7.25, right? Which is where New York State was at back in 2010. So just a little lesson there, little review of minimum wage. And then as young people start to enter the workforce, something to think about is that you will be working with other generations, right? And we think about that all the time, right? You're going to be working with a mix of people. It's not like in school where you're all with your peers, right? And you're all about the same age and you have the teachers and stuff like that, other generations, but you're not actually co-workers with them, right? So as you're entering the workforce, this is just a breakdown, right? You guys are, I say you guys, young people are Generation Z, right? In case you didn't know. And then you have the millennials, which is my generation, the Gen Xers, which is the next generation above me, the baby boomers, the next generation above them. And we still have some lingering traditionalists, right? That are born somewhere like 1945 and before. that are still in the workforce. So just being prepared to mix with all those different types of generations and understanding what that looks like in the workforce. So this is just a handy chart that breaks down some of the workforce attributes of these different generations. So one of the things that Mary mentioned is that there has been a trend, a shift in individuals looking for jobs that have meaning and purpose, and younger generations are more likely to leave a toxic work environment or a job that they don't like to go to another job. Whereas older generations, they just raised differently, or the times were different, whatever you may want to say, where they would stay in those jobs most of the time. So that is kind of a shift, right? As we've seen the generations that have come into the workforce and how they help evolve the workforce. And then, of course, something else that really evolves the workforce that I don't have a part of this presentation, but is something to mention, is technology, right? Technology has a huge impact on the workforce and how it evolves and changes. So what do you actually need to get a job? Let's start there. What are all the different things you should think about when you start looking for a job? First and foremost, just make sure that you ask yourself if you want a job. Are you being pressured to get a job? Are you actually feel like you're ready to get a job? Okay, so don't go out there and start applying for jobs until you feel like you are ready to start working at a job. Okay, so and hopefully once we get through this presentation, in case you were kind of on the fence, right, hopefully you'll feel more confident about going out there and looking for work. So what kind of job do you want? This is the same exact career interest assessment that we showed during Mary's presentation, and the link to share again, because we use this as well. This is used all across the board and is really great interest assessment tool. I don't think I've ever worked with a young person that doesn't get results that they're like, oh yeah, that sounds like me. How much education and or training do you need? So as you're looking through these jobs and you find something that you're interested in, is it something that requires some kind of certification? Is it something that requires a 2-year or 4-year degree? Is it something that you need beyond a 4-year degree? There are some industries now where they have more in-house training available. They have more like financial aid available if you decide to do some post-secondary education. So take that into consideration too, right? There are a lot of pathways in the healthcare system where they will actually help, train you to move on to the next thing. How will you get there? Okay, so one of the biggest barriers that we work with individuals who are looking for work is transportation. So making sure that while you're looking at all these places to apply to, that you are taking your actual circumstances into consideration, right? So making sure that you're able to get there. What's your plan A to get back and forth to work? And what's your plan B to make sure you get back and forth to work, right? So making sure that you have that all figured out. And are you resilient? Looking for work, you may run into no's, right? Or you may not get calls back, or, you may feel like you did a really great interview and still not get the job. So this is a resiliency at work assessment that you can take real quick. This is, you answer the questions as if you were working. So just something to think of there, and it can start to help you think about those different scenarios that might pop up that you may have to bounce back from. What else do you need to get a job? So these are some of the actual physical things, right? So documentation, having a photo ID, right? Young people, they can use school IDs. That's okay, as long as it's a photo ID and it has their name on it. Depending on the job, you may need a birth certificate, social security card, definitely. So making sure you know where your social security card is, making sure you have a copy of that before you start applying for jobs and you get a job offer and then realize that you don't have one and you don't know where it is, right? And then you got to scramble. So check ahead of time that you know where that is. And then if you're under the age of 18, you do have to obtain a work permit, which is usually from your school nurse. And you can check with your school to make sure you know where to go to get that. Know where and how to job search, right? A lot of things are online right now, but there are still places that put help wanted signs out in their windows. So making sure that not only you're paying attention, but that your network is paying attention. And who is your network? Your network are your family, your friends, anyone that knows that you're looking for a job, and they can help keep their eye out for you and they may even have, a friend who is going to post a job and they haven't posted it yet, but they just happen to tell them about it. And you're like, oh, I know someone who's a perfect fit for that, right? Or who could be a perfect fit for that. So network. So make sure that you are networking with your people and that they know you're looking for a job and what you're looking for, and that you know where and how to job search, right? And that you go online, and I will show an example of an online job search that you can do. Know how to complete applications. So if you're online, that you make sure that you're completing all the sections of an online application. If it asks you to upload your resume, you upload your resume and you still fill out that online application, right? It may seem like duplicate information, but if that's what they're asking for, make sure that you complete everything. Okay. You can still fill out paper and pencil, or not pencil, pen, right? Blue or black ink pen when you're filling out job applications in person, if you're actually filling out a physical application. Still submitting your resume, a paper copy of your resume when you turn in that application, making sure that you have that resume. You have an electronic copy and you can print it out in case you need to, and know where you can go to print that out in case you don't have a printer at home, right? And your interviewing skills. And this is a link right here to a really awesome program that is sponsored by New York State Department of Labor. It's called Interview Stream. It is an interactive mock interview platform that you do with the computer. So if you click that link, it would take you to create an account. You create your account, and then you can pick out what kind of interview questions you want it to ask you. You can either pick out some pre-made questions based on, like, are you interviewing to be an accountant? Are you interviewing to be a childcare worker? Things like that. Or you can pick your own questions and make your own set of questions. And when you're ready to start, you'll hit start. A little, I don't know if she or he has an actual name, but there's a little artificial intelligence person, right? A little AI that pops up, and they ask you the question, and then it counts down. I think it starts at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it records your answer. So, and then you get to play all your recorded answers back for yourself or for someone else. So it's a mock interview that you're able to do on your own, and it's also mobile friendly. So young people can do it right on their phone. So that's a really fun thing to practice with. This is a sample of a job search. So Indeed.com is just one of my favorites. I've been using it forever. So typing in entry level in Geneva, New York, within 5 miles. Again, these are all things that you can filter down to find the jobs that you want. And it brought one up here, housekeeping, laundry attendant at Bellhurst Castle. So you can start looking through these entry level type positions and see what's available in your area. And you can limit that down to, you could say 25 miles if you're willing to travel up to 25 miles, right? And you can filter these, down to filter it down as much as you want to. So what else do you need to get a job? So research conducted by Harvard University has all concluded that 85% of job success comes from having well-developed soft skills and people skills, and only 15% of job success comes from technical skills and knowledge. Okay, so those 85% of soft skills, what does that actually mean? We talk about soft skills all the time, all right? So just making sure that we know, okay? So this is from just kind of market research that I do on my own when I'm out talking to employers, right? And then what do I hear when I'm sitting in all of these, committee meetings with all these employers, and, what are the soft skills that seem to come up over and over and over again that they say that their workforce is lacking? So their employees are lacking that they can work on, things like that. So one of the first things I hear all the time is attendance, okay? So making sure, right, if you get a job, that you're treating that job as a priority. Of course, there are emergencies that happen, but making sure that you're not wasting or, sick days, leave time, right, on things that maybe would that you should be saving for emergencies, but attendance, right? It's just basically like employers are like, we just want people to show up for their shifts and show up on time, right? And then if for whatever reason there is an emergency or something comes up, or even in general, just communication skills, being able to actively listen, being able to convey a message properly, right? Even like written communication, not sending things in text talk, right? With all these little abbreviations that not everybody understands, not communicating at all, not calling in when you're not going to be there for your shift. Teamwork, right? Being able to work in a team. This is something where, no matter what job you go into, no matter how much you'll be working on your own, there will come a time when you will have to collaborate with somebody or work with somebody or talk with somebody. Organization, critical thinking, social skills in general, creativity, adaptability, motivation, and being approachable. So that gives you an idea of the soft skills, some of the soft skills that employers are looking for. Make sure that you are ready to communicate with potential employers. So I say potential employers because you're going to be actively looking for work, right? You're going to be filling out applications. How do you communicate with employers? So as you are filling out those applications, make sure that there are reliable ways to connect with you. Reliable ways to connect with you. Okay, so if you have an email address, which you all should, okay, if this is just, okay, so just a sidebar for students. If you are a student watching this and you have a school issued email address, be aware that not all schools allow emails to get to you from outside the school district, right? It's for your teachers to email you, for you to email your teachers. But if you put that on a job application, that employer may not be able to email you. They may be blocked. So just a heads up before you use your school email address on applications. So you may want to create your own, right? And make sure that you are creating something, an email address that is appropriate. And that you're adding a signature to your email and your text. And this is when you are going to be emailing and texting back and forth with employers. You can add a signature right at the end, and it's literally just a little blurb that's going to pop up at the end of every message that you send. So your name, your phone number again, just making sure that they know every time you're communicating with them exactly who you are, and not relying, so they don't have to rely on trying to remember who you are based off of your email name, right? So making sure that you signed your emails. Avoid that text talk. Okay, that is something that comes up a lot when I'm in meetings, right? Avoid the text talk. You may get to a point when you're working for someone that you're on that comfort level of being able to text back and forth in that way, but not at the beginning, right? Not when they're a potential employer. Make sure your voicemail is available. So if you have your own phone, if you have your own cell phone, please make sure that your voicemail box is set up and that it is cleaned out, right? So that an employer can leave you a voicemail. Okay. If you are going to be using, say, a parent's cell phone, or someone else that you have regular contact with as your number, right? Because you don't have your own phone, that's okay. That's totally acceptable. Just make sure that that person has a voicemail box set up and their voicemail box is clean, and that they're going to let you know if someone leaves a voicemail for you. And also make sure that your voicemail message is appropriate. And then another way to communicate with employers is LinkedIn. All young people, everyone in general, should create a LinkedIn account. So if you haven't heard of LinkedIn or are not quite sure what it is the professional social media platform. It is the social media platform designed to help people get jobs and help employers get employees. Okay, so please go on there, look up LinkedIn. If you have a Facebook account or have seen Facebook before, it looks very similar to Facebook. Okay, but it's not Facebook. It is professional. It's all about the workforce world, all about making connections, all about networking, all about communicating with potential employers, potential employees. So if you're like, okay, I'm not sure about all of this stuff that you just rattled off. Okay, so we have a YouTube channel that has videos that explain all of this stuff. So you can go right to our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and search for us, Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board. We have a video that walks through the ONET Career Interest Assessment that talks about how to fill out job applications, how to create resumes and cover letters, how to use Interview Stream, and also interviewing techniques in general, how to create LinkedIn account and how to maximize your LinkedIn account. It's actually a 2-part series. We also have a video on surviving job loss, and we have one about how to use our online platform called Skill Up Finger Lakes, which you can go on there. Anyone can go on there and create an account and sign up for. There's over like 5,000 different career specific and soft skill specific courses on there that you can take. And the courses are anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple hours. There's ones that are, standalone. There are ones that are series. So especially if you're like, wow, I really need to work on my soft skills. I want to make sure that my soft skills are on point. Definitely go on there and create an account and go in and explore those courses that are available. And then there's also all sorts of different courses with all sorts of different occupations that you can go on there, and you can use it as career exploration to just go on there and see what the different types of jobs are about. So where can you start, right? So you can dive right in, right? Like just go in, feet first, dive right in and go for it. Just make sure that you have all of those little things. I should say little things, but all those things ready, right? Like you got your photo ID ready to go. You got your social security card ready to go. You got your work permit ready to go if you need it. And also, do you have your transportation figured out? Do you have your reliable communication figured out, right? And if so, you can dive right in, all right? You can also research and prepare. And that's what Mary just went over. All of this about informational interviewing, about doing the assessments, getting a really good feel of what the best fits are going to be for you out there in the workforce world. And then, of course, you can always reach out for help, right? And your local connection for help with anything and everything that has to do with finding a job or developing a career is by contacting your local career center. So I have the link there. And then we also have, they are available. We have one in every county. And again, we serve Wayne, Ontario, Seneca, and Yates counties. Here is the Finger Lakes Workforce Investment Board. So the actual career centers are located in Canandaigua, Waterloo, Penn Yan, and Lyons. We also have the New York State Department of Labor that has 2 offices here in our area, but just a note right now that they are still closed due to COVID. The Lyons Center is actually Department of Labor and the Career Center, the Workforce Development, together in one office. So the Workforce Development Career Center side is open right now, but not Department of Labor. So just a heads up about that. And career centers, they have specialized help for youth, okay? So there are 2 programs. There's the Summer Youth Employment Program and the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act Youth Program. So Summer Youth Employment Program, or we shorten it, right? We love it. We love our acronyms, SYEP. It's a short-term employment opportunity for youth ages 14 to 21 during summer break. Typically lasts about 8 weeks, but it can last, it can be designed around the youth. If they have summer sports that are starting earlier, they might end a little earlier than other youth. If they are not going back to school in the fall and still figuring out what they're going to do next, they can go a little bit later. There is a low income eligibility, but you can still contact your career center if you're unsure, if you want to see if you're eligible for the program. It matches youth with career interests while also keeping logistics in mind, right? So transportation, making sure that we're not sending a youth up, at a work site or a work experience that's too far away from their home. Creates job opportunities for youth, especially in rural communities, and some turn into permanent job places, or some turn into permanent jobs, and they end up getting hired by where they were at for their work experience. So that is the Summer Youth Employment Program. And then we also have the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act Youth Program that we call WIOA, another acronym. WIOA is a wraparound employment and training opportunities program to ensure self-sufficiency for youth ages 14 to 24. And that's actually broken down into two separate, like the WIOA program. And then we have the in-school part, right? So for youth that are still in school, those 14 to 21-year-olds, and youth who are no longer in school, the 16 to 24-year-olds. So just kind of two separate cohorts there that are served under the program. There is a flexible income eligibility, so you do not necessarily need to be low income for this program. So please don't hesitate to reach out to a career center if you are interested in this program. It is person-centered planning. So we start off, we actually use the ONET Career Interest Profiler as one of the things we do right off the bat to see what those interests are. And then we build from there, right? It's all person-centered planning, all based on where that person is at, where they want to go. It includes secondary and post-secondary education, career exploration, labor market information, work experiences, soft skills development, financial education, funding for training opportunities, supportive service payments, and collaboration with partner agencies and more. So definitely if you are interested, reach out to your local career center, which all the information for the career centers is at the end of the presentation. And of course, you can always email me if you have questions or would like an application. So more training opportunities are available at the career centers, and these are for what you would consider the adult population, so not youth specific. Training funds available for 18-year-olds and up. We go by the eligible we have an eligible training provider list. So you can click here and see who some of our partner training providers are, like FLCC. It's for unemployed and underemployed adults. Contact a training counselor at your local career center. So if you're interested in that, if you're 18 or older and you're interested in seeing what's on that side of the opportunities at the career centers, also contact out them. That would be, you would be working with one of the training counselors at the career center. Also, don't rule out the temp agencies. Okay, we have multiple temp agencies, so temporary agencies available here in our area. So that is where you would register. You would get enrolled with the temp agency, and then they would find employers that matched what you were looking for and have you go to work. So you would be working through the temp agency, but at an actual employer with the goal of the employer hiring you on full time. Okay, so there's Remedy Intelligent Staffing, ADECO, Tele Services, Labor Ready, Manpower, probably others that I forgot to mention that are all over the 4-county region. So you can see which one is in your neighborhood and what opportunities they have available for them. You can get registered with them, and then they can send you job leads, right, and job placement opportunities as they come up. So please keep that in mind. Here's the information for all of the career centers. There's the one in Ontario County, Seneca County, Yates County, and Wayne County. And then also, just as a heads up, so Wayne County actually has 2 separate locations that run the WIOA youth program, the WIOA. So that was the second youth program I reviewed. That is available at the Wayne County Career Center and also through Wayne County. It's actually the Wayne County Consortium of Schools based at SOTUS Central District, SOTUS High School. It was too long to put the whole name on there. So they're the Wayne County Consortium, and they're based in SOTUS. So that's just a heads up for young people in Wayne County that there are 2 options there. And now we are at the time for Q&A. So please feel free to unmute. I don't see any questions in the chat. Well, what questions can we answer for you? Is Leanne still here? Can Leanne verify that I gave all the correct information for the adult side of the world?
You did. You did perfect. Good job, Amanda.
Thank you. Mike's not here today to verify, so I rolled with it.
All perfectly accurate.
All right, perfect. All right, so there's our contact information. That is to get in contact with the department that Mary is from at Finger Lakes Community College, and my email address right there if you guys think of any follow-up questions. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.